Welcome everybody. I am Loreto di Rienzo, a technology ambassador from the House by Dyloan. The House by Dyloan is urban laboratory in Milano. In this space we want put unite in one side the R&D and technologies, and for this we involved the very important partner Stratasys, Universal Robot, Framis, Coloril, and in another side we involved the world of material, Linea Pelle, Woolmark Company, and Dinamica by Mico, for example. In occasion of the Design Week 2021, we want to indicate this very interesting technology, technology what we have started 2 years ago, 3D print, speak about, because 2 years ago we meet Boris Belocon and Naomi Kempfer from Stratasys, and the focus, the goal is transfer this technology in the fashion, in the industrial mood, in the industrial application. After 2 years, we have the very important result, and the house is the natural place for disseminated this type of the know-how, this type of the competence. This is one of the more workshop what we organize inside the house, and probably in October we go to organize more exclusive professional workshop related to this incredible technology. But I want to be short, this is only my introduction, and I want to introduce the guest of the speaker. We have Enrico Toson, Regional Marketing Manager of Stratasys, Yariv Sade, Director of Production Application Engineering Stratasys online from Israel, Gustavo Hernandez, Senior Application Engineering Stratasys, and Boris Belocon, Senior Application Engineering Stratasys. Boris too from Israel. Thank you all, thank you the speaker, thank you everybody, and I wish this experience, this information is very useful for understand the new limits of the 3D print. Please, Enrico.
Thank you very much, Loreto, for the great introduction. My name is Enrico Toson. I'm the Stratasys Regional Marketing Manager, and my objective will be really, to introduce the agenda and the content of the session today. So, as Loreto was explaining, the objective is to try to deep dive into, how 3D printing can be useful and an interesting, technology for the design world, and especially, the fashion designers. So I will, spend just, 1 minute, explaining and presenting my company, Stratasys, but also let me quickly show you, and briefly introduce the topics that we'll, hear from the different speakers. Yariv, the Director for Application Technology in Stratasys for the Polyjet business unit, will explain really why 3D printing can be a game changer for designers. So he will really try to explain how 3D printing can make the life of the designer different and improve and really have an impact on the design process. Then Gustavo will move on into really showcasing a lot of examples, give you an idea of the applications of what color 3D printing can offer, and then Boris will deep dive finally into the fashion kind of business and area. As I mentioned very quickly, who is Stratasys? Stratasys is actually one of the inventors of 3D printing. It all started way back in 1988 with Scott Crump, the founder, who actually, invented filament 3D printing because he wanted to create a toy for his daughter. And after that, it became a business. He started creating Stratasys in 1989. And, since then, it has been a progression of innovation and accelerating technology, okay? We've been, going through acquisitions, new inventions, but really, for us, it's great to be able to work with companies like Dyloan and really bring our technology side and merge it, with people and companies who know their business very well. And from the merging, from the meshing of the two, competencies, here we go, and we try, to really make a difference, for the future, really, of the design world and the fashion business. Okay? With that, I will not, take any more time, and I will pass, the word to Yariv. Thank you.
Yes, Yariv speak about the prototyping activity can change the way we design. We have one very interesting discussion with Yariv 6-7 months ago, but it really started before pandemic too, about this competence, what really 3D print interact in different moment of the concept of the project, just in the end. And I think the Yariv speech is very, very, very interesting for understand what is the sense of the 3D print. Please, Yariv.
Okay, thank you, Loreto, for the invitation and Eva. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and the D-House team, and thank you, Enrico, and let's start. Can you present my slide? I don't see the slide, so I need to see it in order to follow.
Just one moment, we arrive with the slide. Probably from Italy to Israel is a little bit time.
Ci siamo? No.
We want switch in case you see now?
We see the screen, but it's not my slides. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
This one, but I don't know if I see it as a split screen. Maybe you should shift to a presentation mode. Okay, great now. Okay, can we start?
Start, please.
Okay, and please mute yourself in the background. There's a lot of noise, so just to make sure. Okay, so please hold it. Please go back one slide. There is a lot of noise in the background. If everybody can mute themselves so we can hear only the speaker at the end. Of course, if you have any question, I'll be happy to take and turn on your mic. Okay, so let's start. On October 18, McKinsey published a 5-year research they made on 300 public American companies. And what they did, they divided those companies into 4 quarters, from no design companies to design-driven ones, and followed their performance, their business performance in the market over 5 years. The companies in the design-driven group outperformed their industry benchmark by 200% in terms of revenue and total return to shareholders. I'll let you when to move to the next slide. McKinsey, the world's leading management consulting firm, demonstrated the enormous impact of design on business in almost any vertical. And we all familiar with these things when people stand for hours, maybe days in line just to buy a new iPhone. They are not waiting for a new feature or improved performance, but rather to have or to gain a new experience provided by Apple's product and Apple's brand. Next slide, please. Up. You skipped some. one back, another. What happened? Okay, I'll take it from here. My name is Yariv Sade, and I am a senior industrial designer and a design manager. I'm the co-founder of Igloo Design, which is a leading industrial design strategy firm in Israel. And I was the dean of the Design and Innovation School at the College of Management in Israel, and currently I am a director at Stratasys. My expertise and professional passion is to help companies in almost any industry to make better business through design, to demonstrate the huge potential that design can bring to their business, and to guide their managers and their designers through the implementation process. Next slide, please. Over the last 20 years or so, I have worked with many companies in different industries, from startup to enterprises, helping them improve their business by making meaningful product with great user experience and accurate design on top of business performance. This is very important. It's not instead of, but on top of. Next, please. That's the slide I was looking for. Okay. So what makes design-oriented companies different from the rest of the companies? What companies such as Alessi, Dyson, Herman Miller's, Apple, and Nespresso know that other companies do not know? Next, please. So let me share a secret with you. It's not about the designer's quality. The design team in other companies, which are not as what I call design-oriented companies, are talented enough. Those companies do not have a more talented product designer. It's mainly about the way those companies utilize design, the position of design within the company. While other companies use design mainly as a decoration and development tool, design-oriented companies understand that design can bring a lot of value beyond R&D, creating experiences, innovation, design-driven innovation, and of course, most important, business strategy, which is based not only, but based also on design. Next, please. Okay, so the implementation of design-driven strategy requires three major changes in the company. Number one is management commitment. Nominating a CDO, Chief Design Officer, or a Design VP as part of the company management. It will not go without management commitment. Number two is organizational culture. There is no such thing as partly good design. Design is holistic. The user experience of all products, packaging, website, environments, and so on, should speak the same language. And the importance of this approach should be understood by all employees, otherwise it will not work. That's the culture. And finally, number three is to have the right tools and methods. Design-driven companies must adapt design methods to support their design decision process, because today using intuitive design process is not enough. Next, please. Today, in this session, I will focus on number three only, as number one and number two require a mentorship and implementation process. I will share with you some simple tools and methods that any company can easily adapt without any large investment or management shifts. Next, please. Skip that one and Yeah, here, okay. PPM, design evaluation practice. What's PPM? PPM stands for people, place, and model. To make wise and accurate design decisions, we must evaluate the product in its authentic environment with real users and realistic models. For instance, when designing a blender, the evaluation location should be a kitchen home or kitchen appliance shop with potential users and 3D full color models. And you know, people keep asking me if it's worth investing in the time and money in producing models, inviting external people, and meeting outside the office. What additional value it could bring. And I believe that it has a huge impact on the business, and this is why I developed this PPM, people place model design evaluation practice, which I'll share with you in a minute. Next, please. The majority of design decisions are made in meeting rooms when only internal stakeholders are present, and the product design is, in most cases, presented on screens, on TV screen. And stakeholders might not be able to comprehend and truly experience the design from a 2D illustration without holding it, feeling it, seeing it from a different angle in one-to-one scale. And they also do not all, you know, stakeholders, internal stakeholders, they do not always have the authentic and fresh point of view as real users. And this could be very, very dangerous, as they might provide inaccurate feedback, which could lead to a very costly, incorrect design decision. Now, I'm not saying that they don't understand anything, but just think about the last 10%, 15% of the design intent that they miss, and that might have a big impact on the decision. And in the, oops, what happened? In the next 20 minutes or so, I will show you how you can make better and more accurate design decisions, raise stakeholders' confidence in the design, and shorten product time to market in a very simple workflow. I don't know if it's only me or everybody, but something happened with the presentation, and I see it only in a smaller part of the screen. Can you fix it? Now better. Next slide, please. All right. Just to give you some idea or to demonstrate the importance of the place, the environment, and the situation. In 2007, violinist Joshua Bell went busking in Washington, D.C. subway station as part of an experiment to see if the public would recognize one of the finest talents in the classical music world. Out of 1,097 people that passed Bell by, only 27 of them gave him any money, and only seven people actually stopped and listened to him playing. And how much did he make? The violinist, who makes thousands of dollars for each concert performance on the greatest concert stages in the world, made $52.17. And for me, this is a great example of how location and environment can have a huge impact on people's attention and perception. As human beings, we are greatly influenced by the environment and situation. Next, please. Oops, another missing slide. Okay, I'll take it from here, no problem. Let's talk about the model. Why models are so important? Are you excited when unboxing a product you have ordered online, or as a product designer when receiving a new model? I believe we all are. Having already seen the product many times on screen from every possible angle, why are we so excited finally to see it in person? Because there is a huge difference between what we see on screen and what we actually experience. The colors, textures, weight, balance, feel, temperature, size, sound, smell are all those factors that shape our experience, factors that cannot be experienced when viewing the product on screen. Next, please. Another example of the importance of model is a business called Big Plan Company in Melbourne, Australia. They are making one-to-one scale architectural 2D models. Their entire business model relies on their customers being unable to understand and feel the design on a smaller scale. And their customer willingness to pay for a solution that address only this aspect of scale, because it's a different perspective. And again, this is only the scale, and I'm talking about so many other attributes. Next, please. So what makes physical models so important? In here we see 4 types of design communication means or tools divided to 2x2 groups. One split is 2D versus 3D, and the other split is full color versus single color. Full color and texture versus single color, meaning single color means only the geometry. Next slide, please. There are only the CMF models is the only design communication tool that comprises 100% of the design information. And I consider on-screen rendering 2D illustration I consider 2D rendering illustration as 2D tools. At the end of the day, it's a flat screen. You can't hold it, you can't touch it, you can play with it. And when this is important, when some of the design information is missing, our audience as designers or design managers subconsciously fills in the missing details in their mind, and their feedback will be based upon their own interpretation instead of the design itself. And also imagine a product meeting with models in people's hand instead of on-screen rendering illustration, or leaving a model on the CEO desk instead of sending her an email with a rendering illustration. The whole interaction, experience, and feedback would be significantly stronger when and much closer to a real-life situation. Next, please. With physical model, we can even create what we call in the software design world A/B testing. We can test in real-life situation different design, and from A/B testing, we know that minor design changes can have a huge impact on users' preparations. Next, please. To get a few years ago, I was working with a startup company developing a disruptive vegetarian food product. And it was some kind of super vegetable that combines the nutritional values of spinach, broccoli, and kale together, and it has a very mild taste. It's still a very promising product. And because it was so unique, we wanted to test the reaction of real users. So to get valid and valuable feedback about the product, we did not merely invite people to the office and give them, a chance to try it, but brought it to their home so they could try it in real life situation and environment. And we learned so much more than an office setting could ever provide. Feedback from kids, instant cooking testing, location in the fridge, and one of them even tried to mix it with a cocktail, which was way beyond our expectation. Next, please. Expanding from traditional design review meeting in office room with big screen and real life environments with real users and realistic model could be a game changer. Next. So let me share with you 3 practical guidelines that you can easily incorporate into your current product design process without any big changes or investment. Guideline number 1, start CMF design earlier. CMF is color, material, finish. That's the external skin of any product. Next, please. Some companies can afford testing hundreds of CMF models to ensure to go to market with the most accurate and profitable designs. Such design-driven companies usually understand the business benefit of such investment. But what about the rest of the company that do not have the budget, time, and management attitude as the design-oriented enterprises? How can they make better and more business-oriented design decisions to improve the product performance in the market? Next, please. Years ago, CMF was just some kind of decoration on top of the 3D shape design. But today, next slide, please. Today, leading design-oriented companies recognize the value of CMF and incorporate it into the design process from the early design stages, not starting the CMF at the final design stage after the shape, the geometrical design is nearly done, but from the very beginning, and this brings two main values. Next, please. Value number 1, it raises the overall quality of design. Most products with advanced CMF design, like those we find in design awards website, could be only when the CMF design is an integral part of the entire design process, when the shape and the CMF are in a dialogue with one another. Next, please. Another value is manufacturing readiness and time to market. In most cases, the CMF has a direct impact on production technology and complexity. Having the CMF details earlier will allow for manufacturing preparation to begin earlier and shorten product time to market. Next. Guideline number 2, integrate PPM. Again, PPM is people, place, model, design evaluation practice into your product design process. Let's see how it's done. Next slide, please. It cannot be overstated how important it is to get reliable, unbiased feedback from real users earlier in the design process before it is too late to make design changes based on this feedback. And from software A/B testing, we know that minor design changes might have a big impact on the product and the business, the product performance and the business. And this principle can also be applied to physical product. This is the essence of the PPM design evaluation practice. In other words, we want to shift from intuition-based design decision to incorporate data-driven design decision into the design process beyond the intuition, which is great, but it can't be the only tool to make design decisions. Next, please. In here we see a schematic representation of a typical product design process. It's very, very schematic, just to give you the idea. And this is the plan. The x-axis indicates the project timeline, and the y-axis is the different design stages and the type of models we use for each stage. And the dots represent design review meetings. Next, please. In reality, it looks more like the red line, as it could take weeks before all stakeholders agree on how to proceed after each of the design review meetings. And the main reason for this lingering is mainly design communication issues and decision makers' low confidence. And by the way, the more innovative the design is, the longer it might take. Next slide. And one of the main benefits of the PPM design evaluation practice is that it keeps us away from the too vague design communication or too late zone. the zone that you see in green. We don't want to make design decision when it's too late and we don't have enough time, or when it's too vague, when the design communication means are not ready yet. Next. We want to make design decisions in the green zones before it is too late and while we have a good CMF model to support our design decisions. Next. By using a quick and affordable CMF models, we not only make better design, business-oriented design decisions, but also reduce the product time to market, since we can improve the design communication and gain confidence of all the decisions maker. Next, please. I'm aware to the fact that CMF models are expensive and it may take weeks to produce one CMF model. However, we have a great solution for this that my colleagues will share with you later today. Next slide, please. Okay, and guideline, the final guideline, number 3, is get design business feedback, not only design feedback during the design process. Let's see, what do I mean by this? Next, please. So there are two main types of feedback we want to get from user during the product design process. One type is design feedback to help us on how to improve the design, and the other type is business feedback to help us evaluate the business potential of the chosen design. And these are two very different types of feedback. While the first one focuses on the attributes of the product, the second one evaluates the product as a whole. And unfortunately, most product design managers don't pay enough attention to the business feedback. They focus mainly on the design feedback. In fact, they can't receive any valid feedback if they only have, on-screen rendering illustration as the main design communication tools. And again, I don't mean at the final design stage when they produce a final model. That's too late. I'm talking about having the opportunity to hold, see, touch, feel the design during the earlier design stages. And this means the design business decisions are based entirely on intuition, which is again very risky and, to my opinion, not enough. And don't get me wrong, designer's intuition is a great tool. Actually, you cannot have any design without intuition, but it cannot be the only tool that all the design decisions are based on it. And one of the key principles of the PPM design evaluation is its focus on both design and business feedback. Let's see how it works. Next, please. So by asking only 3 simple questions, we can get priceless insights regarding the product design business potential. One question for the product price, another for the sales volume, and another one for marketing and promotion. What matters is that the question provides data about these 3 aspects. It doesn't matter how you phrase those questions as long as it provides this data. And once you get it right, you get everything you need. Let's see an example. Next slide. Using this approach will bring a whole new business perspective to the design decision-making process. From making intuition-only based and maybe personal opinion-based design decision to data-driven design decision. We learn about how our potential user perceive the product early enough in the design process to enable us make better design decisions to support the business, not only how beautiful it is, but how effective it is in terms of business. From design-only perspective to design plus business perspective, and from expert-only point of view to expert plus users point of view. Next, please. So just to summarize these three practical guidelines, one, we want to start the CMF design earlier. As I said, it has two main values: better design and faster time to market due to manufacturing readiness. And then to integrate the PPM design evaluation practice to get feedback from real users in real life situation earlier in the design process with physical models and not on-screen representation. And finally, to get business feedback alongside the design feedback. And by adapting those guidelines, we can improve our design quality, time to market, and the business in a very, very strong way. Last slide, please. So we are here to help any of you who wishes to boost their business by design, to push design innovation, raise design decision making, and to raise stakeholders' confidence, and at the end of the day, to enhance product design quality, shorten product time to market, and improve their business. Last slide. This, what you see on screen, we call it Design Inspiration Kit. This is a kit we created, Stratasys, created to demonstrate the capabilities of our technology in making CMF models. As you can see, it can print, it has endless options. And the idea behind this kit is not only to demonstrate the technology and the printing quality, but to inspire designers. This is why we call it Design Inspiration Kit, to inspire designers and decision maker to expand the design boundaries, to innovate through design, and to make, at the end of the day, better products. Last slide. So thank you very much. I hope you find it interesting and valuable. And if you have any question, I'll be happy, if we have the time, to take questions now. And if you want to contact me, you can see my email on the screen. Feel free to send me an email, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yariv. It's very interesting, your focus. I want to explain, our cutting-edge ecosystem is based up this collaboration, because the house project is one urban laboratory for research and development, but is fundamentally this collaboration with the producer of technology, because this gives the possibility for go up, for resolve many new requests, new focus. And for example, thank you to Gustavo Hernandez, because Gustavo really is every day, but same Boris too, to answer, to resolve the question, to arrive the result. And this is fundamentally this collaboration. Thank you, Hernandez, and please start.
Can I ask you, please? Perfect. Thank you very much, Loreto. Again, thanks everybody that are online, that are present. Okay, perfect. You see the screen. So right now, in this part of the presentation of this session, we are going to talk about the technology that allows the process that Yariv was speaking about, right? Yariv just said that there was like a last barrier, like when you need to do more often CMF design in order to validate, to get a better design, you need a technology, you need a solution that allows you to do it quicker, faster, and economically convenient, okay? So the technology that we are talking about, that Stratasys is one of the main technology that Stratasys is handling in the worldwide, it's the polyjet technology, okay? We call it the technology that allows it all, referring to what Yariv was talking about, the design, the CMF, the ability to see and touch whatever you have designed in real life to your customers right away, so they understand exactly what you meant with the design you did, okay? So we're talking about a system that will allow you not only to get really realistic designs, really realistic CMS model, but will allow you also to test in earliest stages of your design, not only, because we say ultra-realism, but not only ultra-realism, but also the geometry. So this technology is allowing you, is giving you the best of every world, you know, like testing the geometry with economically convenient materials, then going forward validating, you know, transparencies or validating another factors inside your design, and finally arriving to a CMF, okay, that will give you the final look of your model, but not limited to one model, which is usually what we do. No? Once we arrive to the final model, we create that model and we see the model. And we usually get to the point in which, oh, but this is not exactly what I needed, or this is not exactly what I had in my mind. With this technology, we'll be allowed to test different CMF model, different final designs, giving you the whole perspective of what you wanted to do and allowing you to select the best product for the market. Design, meaning with the design of with the meaning of design, but also the business one that Yariv was talking about. So, polyjet technology. The polyjet technology is a multi-material technology. It's using photopolymers to create models from, you know, a 3D file. And as many additive manufacturing solutions, what we do in 3D in polyjet is to divide the files that we have created, or model that we need to reproduce to create, into many layers, and a head will deposit droplets of resins in, let's say, in a work plane, okay, layer by layer until you have the final result. I don't want to get into too many details about how the printer works, because maybe if you want to know about it, we can talk afterwards, okay? But what I would like to make you notice is that the polyjet is allowing you to introduce different kind of materials intended, like different properties of different materials. I mean, transparency, flexibility, opacity, colors, just because we have the material to do, and it's allowing you to do it in the same train. You don't need to think about different models that then I will assemble it. You can think about making it already as it is, already assembled, without the need of finishing. I mean, not the actual need. If you need to do additional work, then it's okay. But if you don't want, you just want the final product, then you can do it without need to, the need to assemble or to get additional elements. I have a couple of slides explaining why it's so important. Materials. You will hear me talking materials through the whole session, okay? But it's actually the most important thing that we have to do. I just wanted to spend a couple of seconds in positioning, okay, the technology inside the huge world, which is additive manufacturing, okay? If we would like to classify the polyjet technology inside the world of additive manufacturing, we will say that at this stage, and I will say why the collaboration with Dyloan is so important in this case, and at this stage we will find the polyjet technology in a place in which we want really amazing, really realistic prototypes, okay, with high level of realism, okay, but with a volume that it's limited. Let's call it limited because it's not production-wise. Production-wise, let's call it, okay? Because you can actually produce a lot of models with the technology. Production-wise, limited, okay? Of course, we said that the main advantage is that you have all this realism, but what we want to do, and the collaboration with Dyloan, is about to get this realism into a place in which combining this technology with some other features or with some other materials, and my colleague Boris will explain, I will talk about that, we can take it to the next level and call it more as a production. Of course, we are talking millions of parts, but more of a production industrial solution for the industry, in this case the textile industry, but for the design and fashion industry in general, right, Loreto? Perfect. So materials again. The importance of the materials is the fact that we can mix them all, okay? The fact that you can mix them all, I mean, sorry, I need to go back. Okay, you have materials, I already told you that, but you have materials that are transparent, that are full colors, materials that are flexible, and materials that will allow you to simulate some thermoplastic around, okay, like ABS or polypropylene, okay? But what is really important with the technology is the fact that you can mix them all. The fact that you have the capability to mix different resins, okay, that in this case will allow, we can call it the quadrinomy of colors, CMYK, okay. Mix those resins in order to get more than 500,000 colors, visible colors, okay, that you can put into your model. It's really amazing. It's what makes the technology really, really important to the market, okay? Of course, if you think, oh, well, the colors itself don't allow all the freedom that I would like it to, no problem, because you can use the same resins to create textures, okay? To simulate materials like wood, like fabrics, to, like, I don't know, textured plastic parts, okay? Textured meaning in the meaning of image and in the meaning of geometry, okay? And for sure, in the market, when you talk about color, you talk about many other features. And one of the features is Pantone, you know, like you hear every time and every here and there, Pantone, Pantone, Pantone. Have a technology that allows you also to create and to select directly what kind of Pantone you want to need. It's priceless, I would say, okay? Everything that I said now, it's meaningless without the proper software and the proper workflow. Because you can have the solution that will allow you to create anything in the world, but if you don't have the workflow, many of us wouldn't have the opportunity to get there, to get into a point of we can create, innovate, push the barriers of the design, okay? So, I just want to spend a couple of minutes, okay, explaining what I mean with texture realism. And I already told it, but when I mean, this is just an example of a gear shift lever in which we use the technology to configure the model that we needed to produce in order to achieve the realism you see there. Okay, the realism that is composed by textured and polished wood material simulation. It's composed by also transparent, clear screen over the, I mean, you can create a geometry, put clear on it, and on the back you can put an image to give this, appear of that screen, the normal speed of a screen. And actually, in the geometry that you have created, you can also introduce texture, physical texture. I mean, you know, like the plastic on the cars. I mean, you are really familiar, all the plastic in the cars are textured ones. So, like that, and you cannot also stitches and so on, so on, so on, so on. So, I often say that the limitation of the technology is first on the imagination of the people creating the model, and then maybe on the limitation of the machine, okay? So I often like to say that, but it's really, really amazing what you can get. Of course, all this combination allows you to go into different places. You know? It doesn't mean that you have constraint to be in the automotive world, the product world. It allows you to go to many places. And the next slides, I mean, not right away, but at the next slides, I will try to illustrate you about different examples and how it's important that the technology that we have into the market. In tiles, you know, for production in tiles, I have seen many works of, you know, like people trying to recreate historic places, and what happened? They don't find the tiles, you know? The tiles are not reproducible, that you cannot find them anywhere. So they take some scannization of the tile and then put it into place to complete what was the original model. So it's just like the first example that you see in the top right, okay? As I was telling you, the importance of the workflow is that you should be able, okay, to create your model, and from the software that you use to create your model, export a file and right away insert it into the printer, okay? In the past, it was a bit more of a complicated process in the past, as I say, because you have to match so many software solutions into one and merge that to be able to introduce the information that you needed to the printer to be able to print. This is not the problem anymore, because we are working very, very hard every day in order to allow the streamlining of the workflow that you need to create a model. So basically, right now, we are in the position in which we create our model in a rendering software, which is in this case Keyshot, okay? Then you go export to 3MF with 3MF, which is a file that is particularly developing a kind of file, okay? That contains all the information that you need, put it in the printer, print, and if you need to do any other post-processing, I don't know, polishing, so on, so on, so on, then you can do it. And that, I mean, the export 3MF, depending on the model, will take you 1 minute, 3 minutes, and so on, so on. Taking everything that you need, and for sure, allowing to save some time, okay, in the process. As I told you, I won't explain any much more of the technology itself. What I find much more valuable is to show how the technology is applied in the market and in the, let's say, in the industry at the current stage. And I will touch different industry, and allow me please, many of this industry, I'll say cosmetic and packaging, many will say that they are repeated, but every particular, let's say, industry have a particular focus that will get more advantage or less advantage of a specific feature, but more of that in the next slides. So one of the biggest markets, as for sure you already know, or you know, you already guessed, is the industrial design. Industrial design, why? This is mainly the market that, not only one, but it's mainly the Yariv was talking about, right? The industrial design, in which you have a product, you need to understand how the product is made, and you need it fast because you need to iterate, okay? And not always is possible. And in this case, we have many examples. I would like just to comment the one on the top side, which is the speaker, radio speaker, made by Priority Design. And they were really amazed for the quantity of iterations they could do in the same. You know, like one day you decide to do 3 iterations, you put it in the printer, and then the next day you have the product that you are able to show at the right stage, right? At the customer, at the final customer you are working with. Also, it's important, again, materials, because on the bottom one, you have the tag example that it's mixing and it's creating a drone, in which it's important to get the resistance of the material in order to hold the impact that the drone are usually receiving, right? I won't say anything else. I just want to show the video of Priority Design, the radio speaker I was talking to you about, okay?
Good design is as little design as possible. You want it to be very intuitive.
We use Keyshot as a way to bring the 3D design to life for our clients.
It gives the client a much more realistic view of what it's going to look like. The translation between Keyshot and GrabCAD, it's one step, it's one file, it's all packaged together, and it translates perfectly when you import it into GrabCAD for printing. So it's seamless and it's time saving.
Whatever you see in GrabCAD print is what you see on the physical model. So what you see is what you get.
I got this awesome new printer at my office. It's small. It prints full color, full texture right from Keyshot. It's amazing. You've got to check it out.
So what I like the most from this video, it's a phrase that said, what you see is what you get, okay? And of course, the seamless workflow that I was talking about, and I don't expect many more words about it, but the seamless workflow that they found that the solution was giving them. The next application, let's say, field in which this kind of technology is very useful is the automotive, of course, okay? Because they will allow you to get great details in texture, you know, arms, rest, and you know, like headlamps and many details on the driving wheel. So it's very important for them to have very detailed design, okay? And of course, not only from the point of view of what you get inside the car, to prototype. This is the case of Top Center, the Saudi. The case of prototype a headlamp, okay, that usually is produced different materials, different stages that they are coloring in different places, put them together and gluing them together. It's all a process that it's so much simple if you produce the whole thing together and then you get the product itself, okay? Without this is again prototyping. Okay, but prototyping, it's easy as we do it in the Dyloan, with the Dyloan collaboration, it's easy with the certain, you know, like think around how you use the product to take it from prototyping, just prototyping, into maybe functional prototyping, into maybe the final use, okay? So, many other examples, but the one I have an anecdote for you, it's the one from the Ital Design, okay? Ital Design, for sure, many of you know, it's an automotive company focused on design, many other things but design, okay? And the anecdote in this case is that these guys find themselves into the task of developing a new car that will contain some additional, let's say, Italian design characteristics inside the car. So what they thought at the point, and maybe many of you will ask, where really? Marble inside the car? Do you think about it? But anyway, you know, what they think at the time is to put some marble inside the car, which is a nice touch, right? The marble gives you the kind of, the perception of luxury and what it's Italian and, you know, like design itself. In many cases, not always. But the problem, the funny part is that they went to a workshop, a marble workshop, and they asked the guy, listen, I need this part that you see on the screen, I need this part with a tolerance of 0.1, I need it for next week, and I need it to wait a bit, to wait not too much, and so on, so on, so on, with a series of requests to the guy producing these parts, and the guy was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to deliver you, okay? And so they went back, sadly, to Ital Design, and just understood that they have the machine inside the company, and then after what the project that was one at some point, you know, like erased from what they wanted to do, take another life and created these parts from simulating marble into the car, okay? Saving time, saving money, and saving a lot of weight into the car. This is a concept car that was presented in Geneva, okay, at the moment. It's called Da Vinci, okay? Cosmetics, another application which is which field is really useful to have a solution that will allow you to do many iterations of the same model, and it's the case of QuadPad. I will tell you a bit about QuadPad. I will show you a small video about QuadPad, but if you think about maybe just the simplest thing, you know, not to complicate things, the fact that in cosmetic is very important to have a colored, you know, glass bottle. And if you think the process that you will have to pass once you design your particular bottle to bring it to life or to have a physical model, just a process to create the bottle with your particular geometry exactly as you want it, then the process to color the bottle, and not only, on the side you have to face the process of creating the label. Okay, and created the label that we adjust perfectly as you want it into it. We have the colors that you want it into it. It's such a huge process that you can understand how the technology is allowing them to be faster and to be better into the design. Because imagine a place in which, you don't have to imagine, you have to see the images, right? But imagine a place in which you create the bottle, then you have the bottle the next day, you post-process because you want it to be very, very shiny, and there you have 2 or 3 days instead of just waiting weeks for it, okay? And imagine in the case of QuadPad, not the case in which you have one, but you have 300 different models, okay? Passing from 6, 8 weeks into a week or into days, okay? To have models that you are ready to present right away to the customer the next day. And this is the video I would like to share with you.
Full colour 3D printing has really impacted the speed of how we work and design. We can explore more ideas at a faster rate. It allows our imaginations to run wild. Different layers, labels. It's very useful to have different surface options such as wood and fabric.
So it really does enhance the project overall.
When you come into the design hub, everybody always says, oh my God, is this 3D printed? I love the technology. It always seems to amaze me.
And it is not that weird stuff to face somebody that you show a model and, oh my God, this is 3D printed. It's not weird to find that because in the market, many have the, like the concept of 3D printing of the old days, like with not this kind of resolution, this kind of quality that you can get from what we have here, okay, now. I was telling you that it's more or less similar market, but the packaging, this time not related to the cosmetic, but related to products in general. Like when you talk to packaging companies, the first pain that face is that, look, I have my model and I would like to have the label as I want it, because when I talk to the designer, when I'm talking to the process, to the people that is doing my label, they missed a lot of the details that I wanted to present. And this, of course, even when you are talking with a standard bottle, then when you don't have the label and you have to position the label in a different way, then you don't have the opportunity to position it exactly where you want it, Many of these problems seem trivial, but, like are real problems in real life cases. So the possibility to print not only the model itself with the geometry that you allow, with the appearance that you wanted, but also with the etiquette, the label that you think about it, a very detailed, very quality high product, it's important in this case, and it's one of the main advantages that the packaging companies can find into this solution. Now, I will show you the Kinetic Vision video.
Kinetic Vision is an R&D consulting firm that's focused on developing and integrating advanced technology to drive innovation.
There are sales and marketing going on every day on shelf at retail through packaging. And that packaging has to impact that specific consumer personally.
When you're developing a product around packaging, it's critical that the end decision maker can hold the final product in their hands.
And that's where the J55 comes in, is that we can adapt to consumers faster and at a higher level than we've ever been able to do it before.
By being able to have 3D printers available to our Kinetic Vision design team, we're able to shorten that design cycle.
It's incredible, the impact of the J55 on our process. What we typically do is, really amazing images or graphics, and we put that up on the wall, and then we let the consumers or the clients view it. However, with the J55, we can actually get there in just a few days to a place that is on the edge of reality, which is something we've never been able to do before. We actually have coined the term retail-ready prints, to where it looks like it should be on shelf, and where in almost the same amount of time we were only going to here. I mean, which one would you want to show, right? So for this particular concept, we were doing a design sprint. We wanted to see what would actually happen if we added the J55 to that process. And so we decided to do a retail drink. And so we developed a brand, we developed graphics, we developed structure, and we did all of that within a 2-week period.
Not only are the graphics intricate and colorful, but we're playing with opaque materials, we're playing with transparent materials, which is one of the reasons why we are leveraging the J55 printer, because we can take advantage of all of its unique features to really make those ideas come to life.
So we have alternate lids that we've created. You can see that actually intertwines, it works. There's actually liquid printed in this, so you're actually seeing the color that's actually inside, that the passion tea would actually be colored. So it's printing completely transparent and colored transparent colors at the same time, as well as opaques. So if we are showing this to a client, we can give them every detail of the product itself, which is absolutely incredible.
Being able to leverage PolyJet technology, the J55.
Perfect. So we were looking at the full video. What I wanted to show you is that when we say it's important for the customer to have that in mind, it's not something that we are saying. Okay, it's what the companies are saying often, And as you see, the many details of the bottle that they present. And the first thing that you think of, that came to my mind the first time I see the video, oh my God, is that 3D printed? You remember? Well, that's the impact of the solution inside the company, okay? Another, I would say, another application is to push the boundaries, okay, of what you do and what you think it's possible to do. Okay, this is the case of the illusory material. It was a study that hung out then in China, okay, in which he said, oh, I want to do something that is really, really impressive to the eye. And what I want to do is to create a process that will allow me to create a model that changes colors, okay? For sure. Allow me to say that because maybe it was not his main goal in the end. It was to develop the software, okay? But he wanted to introduce a material that changes colors when you change the orientation of the models while you are changing it, right? So this is a revolutionary concept, and it's something that it's very, very, like important for this technology, because imagine to do this kind of stuff, this kind of work manually, and to create this prototype manually, how many stuff you need to do, how many combination of colors you need to do before having this. Instead, printing it with PolyJet, you will have a solution that will allow you to create the model already as it is and already ready to show and showcase what the solution and what the results of your work is doing for you. And this is really about pushing the boundaries of what can be done, and of course, how it looks like. Please show the video. Perfect. So basically, this process that we have created can be used for many other useful applications that just changing the color. You can hide tests that you saw in the video, right? You can create innovative ways to showcase what you need to showcase in your product. But this is something that you cannot do, or I would say you can do, but you will have very much of a headache to do without the technology that we have now, okay? Of course, we were missing a slot, right? The technology allows you that many freedom and allows you to do many stuff that it's inevitable, that it's going to be used into the art place, into the art background, okay? And this is just an example. You can see here one of the images that you can see combining colors, combining impossible geometries that you will not be able to reproduce with any other technology. Of course, you can reproduce this with another technology, but you cannot, another additive manufacturing technology, but you cannot reproduce the colors that you are inside and as they are reproduced here, okay? With so accurate colors and with so specific reproduction of what is needed. We are arriving to the end of my presentation. I hope hold with me a bit more. Okay, so one of the last things I want to show you is the application of the technology inside the toy, figurine, and entertainment. Okay, and what is so important because it's one of the first bridge to the production, what we call production solution, and the production of final use elements, not just prototypes. Okay, final use elements that will have a purpose for the final customer, not only just a prototype of my model that will, after I have my model, it will hold, it will be in a place where nobody sees it, only me. We are talking about figurines. It's a field of producing elements, personalized elements that you can provide to the market and to sell and to work with. Okay, so of course this is one of the bridges of production. We say, of course, we are not talking about massive production, but this is the step to production in which you are just taking advantage of the personalized process that you can apply, in which you can create every different figure in the same tray, in the same work. Okay, and one of the like special cases, the Leica one, that they are doing stop motion films, and imagine how many faces they have to produce to be able to finish the film. And they were doing it manually before, and then they are now using the J85, the J75, okay, to create those faces without the need, like to create every single face from scratch. Then, we are here, okay? We finally arrived to what it's I would say, the most important, but the most relevant for this case, okay, which is the work of the polyjet technology in combination with fabrics, but not before just telling you that this, it's, the technology is also used or can be used for the creation of accessories, not only, like printing on fabrics, it can be used to creation of accessories itself, okay? Yes, we don't have metal look like, but just the fact that you can do whatever you want inside the model, even if it's plastic, it's just a real advantage. And of course, it's, when you think about it, the personalization, and when you think about the limitless creativity you will have to do the models, the plastic will not be a problem, and as it's not a problem to many of the fashion elements that we have today in the market, right? So this is, to talk about fabrics and polyjet, we have our colleague Boris that will talk a bit more about the specific application, and I cannot do anything else to thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo, because really I'm excited. Yes, it's different year. I work with the Stratasys, and today you surprise me with many applications and many new things. It's very interesting. Understand where is the start of this partnership with Stratasys. 2 years, 3 years ago, I meet Boris and Naomi. Because I follow this additive manufacturing, I think, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I am interested for this type of technology. But I am one manufacturing company. And for me, it's important make the prototype, but arrive to production too. And this is very important step. For me, my first ask to Boris is, yes, okay, it's incredible. It's possible make incredible project. But where is the limits of the prototype and start to be produced? Because prototype is 1 piece. 2 pieces is prototype, 3 pieces is prototype. But when I make 10 pieces, 20 pieces, we start to go in another world, in another service, in another different idea of the project. And when I meet Boris, I have 1 million questions, because I am very interested for this technology. Boris, after explain all this progress, now where is the organization? In Milano, in the house, we have 1 machine for prototyping, for organize the new project. But in both factory in Chieti, we have made 1 very big investment for start to make production. And in the start, we have with Boris indicate all possibility, but all standard, because production want standard, production want guarantee of manutention, time for in which time make the production. And we indicate all this. For arrive, now just to have resolved many of these questions. Boris, I give you the line. You are in Israel.
Hello.
Ciao.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Loreto and Bond Factory, Dyloan, this opportunity to show what we actually do together and how we develop the 3D fashion, called 3D fashion applications. So before I start my slides, I will summarize what you actually hear. Yariv talked about why using 3D printing, why using CMF actually for making the better design. And Gustavo explained about a particular polyjet technology and application, actually what you can do with that. And I will, in my presentation, trying to explain how to use all those capabilities to making fashion designs. So this transition actually that Loreto mentioned it, from the prototyping to low volume manufacturing, it's a very important point. And I will try to use my slides to explain this point to you, okay? Should I see it's a split screen or it's like that? Okay, okay. Let's start. So, as you saw in Gustavo slides before, we can make with 3D printing a lot of things. We can mix the materials, we can mix colors, we can mix technicals and methods to combine it. We can produce very unique geometries and very unique objects with different colors, different transparencies. So all those capabilities really appreciated by designers, by art designers. I will call it innovators. The freedom of form give them a large opportunity to expand their ideas and their designs in their art. And what we actually give them with 3D printing, it's not only that. Due to special capabilities to mix flexible and rigid materials together, mix colors, we give them the freedom of composition. So they moved from the freedom of form to freedom of composition. You can, next slide, please. This is just an example of what you could control. You can click on. Yeah, just example how accurate control of each color and geometry we have with this particular technology. Next slide. It's just a few examples what you can achieve when you're using this and using the whole control level of the freedom of the composition, full color, and transparent materials as well. Okay, next. So as I said, it was really appreciated by designers, art designers, and especially by fashion designers as well. So we trying to see together with my colleague Naomi Kempfer, which is not here, but in their soul with us. We trying to see how those capability we can use for fashion world and fashion industry as well. Next slide, please. So it starts early a few years ago with the work of Noah Raviv that you see on a slide, trying to print separately one of the part of the garment and the garment itself combined in the traditional way, and after that it assembled together. So each one actually combined to the another. Okay. So this project give us an idea that we can go further. Next slide, please. And maybe to make the whole garment to be 3D printed. This project we did with this left side, it's with Iris Van Herpen, and the right side in the middle with 3S4. New York fashion designers. So you see the whole garment, it's actually 3D printed. Yes, after that it was assembled, it's kind of textile skeleton, but it takes time to print it. For example, the left part, it's few days just to print all the parts. So it's too heavy, it's obviously too expensive. It's very good for maybe one-of-a-kind catwalk show or something similar, but it cannot be mass-produced or even for low-volume produce it. You cannot just produce 100 pieces of that. It will be too expensive. It will be too difficult to do it. So we're trying to find ideas how to expand it. Next slide, please. And we're trying to make those designs to be maybe colorful, thinny, to reduce the wall thickness and make it maybe less heavy than you see before. But still, it takes hours to print those garments that you see on the screen. It's made with collaboration with 3S4, as I mentioned before. It's still not suitable for, we call it, low volume production. Next, please. So this is the first step of we called 3DF, 3D fashion application. We find a way how we can actually print with all the capabilities that you saw before on Gustavo and Yariv slides, and using it directly on fabric. So this is the first project that we did with Iris Van Herpen. And all the pieces, all the small leaves that you see on a picture printed directly on textile. It's actually kind of very hard organza or something similar. It's transparent, almost transparent, but you see the whole the capabilities of 3D printing on it. And it gives us at the first step. It gives us a target to get on. We're trying at this point to enhance the capabilities, to understand what we can do better, which material we can print, or which combination we can use, and so on. Next, please. This is a project. I think in the next slide will include a video, it's a short video about it. This is the next project we did with Julia Cornier that also take the capabilities to the edge. That she used a very unique pattern inspired by butterflies and printed directly on fabric with teeny pins. Each pin has about 1 millimeter or less thickness, and each one is unique color composition. Make this whole garment to work like in a next video, please. Yeah, thank you. And at this point, we understand that actually we have something to show to the world. But we are a 3D printing company. We made a most efficient 3D printings in the world, but we don't understand nothing in fashion world. And maybe we collaborate with the high-end designers and so on, but at this point, we understand we need a collaboration with somebody that understands much better this world than we are. And at this point, we start to collaborate with Dyloan, Bond Factory, Loreto, and together to trying to see, okay, in one hand, we have all the capabilities that we understand is really valuable for fashion world, and on the other hand, we need to pass from prototyping to real low volume production. And I will show you what we did after that. So this is the next project, also with 3S4 New York's the designers that shows on New York Design Week a few years ago. And also inspired by special colors and changing the colors of the butterfly wings. And you can see also a video that shows the process and designers and so on. Please.
Our approach was very different this time. 3D printing has been used in fashion for years. This time, it's a different approach because the printing is going on the surface of fabric.
What we want to do in this project is allow the textile to carry the 3D print like a fish would carry its scales on its skin. Chromorpho collection is talking about color and morphology. How does color change through movement?
We started to research different butterflies. We were fascinated with the iridescent touch of the patterns and geometry of the butterflies.
How do animals and insects in nature use their skin and use their movement in order to generate color? When you zoom into these insects and animals, you discover they don't use pigment, they use a microscopic structure. Nature has a morphology solution to generate the color.
Stratasys was really interested in exploring the idea of a lenticular lens. It's a small, plastic, translucent dome that bounces light through the lens in a way that if you look from one angle, you see a certain color, and if you look from a different angle, you see a different color. In this case, since we're printing in this cellular method on a fabric, we're able to print a lenticular lens as a whole collection of little islands, of little pieces on a piece of fabric, so it's fully articulated and flexible. Each of these prints has thousands of little cells. The overall garment is made of 100 to 200,000 lenses on it.
The way that it is put together is completely traditional, with a sewing machine and with binding and with a zipper in the back.
It's like a puzzle. You have to put all the pieces together.
But the textile itself is completely new.
We truly believe that integrating 3D printing, even in very thin and fine layers with the textile, we're able to have solutions that are very appealing for the fashion world.
This dress represents to me the perfect balance between craft and technology. The idea of using this new technique that Stratasys is offering, where you can see a transformation. There's something very magical and very special about this.
The Chromorpho collection continues to evolve. There's another dress that we're going to show at the Philadelphia Art Museum. This is a collaboration with Julia Kerner, another version of our game with butterflies and insects. Next year, we will launch 2 other evening dresses with Zaha Hadid Architects and with Mary Oxman. And more other designers will join, creatives that work with us on this theme.
Thank you. So another project that we did with Julia Corner, and you can put the next slide, please. And the project we did it on jeans that are very beautiful and has a bit higher design. Includes transparent effect on a jacket and the jeans as well. Next, please. And this is our one of our recent project that we did and a part of a Reframe consortium, European-based consortium that designed by Galit Goldstein. The specialty of this project is actually not only the design and printing colorful parts on fabric. Also combination of few different technologies in the fashion world, like embroidery and currently 3D printing. So designer it's actually combined between 3D printing parts and put in space there embroidery as well. Next, please. And these few projects that actually we did not involved in, but used polyjet technology, Dyloan and Wolfmark company to make it. Hopefully you will see it actually in the house. It's super beautiful. And next one as well. And it's just a few of the project that Loreto and his team made recently using polyjet technology. Next. Another example, a bit different. It's very small geometries that printing directly on leather. It shows the capability in printing not only on textiles and also on bit different substrates as leather or different, like unwoven leathers and different kinds of substance as well. So actually everything that could be flat and a bit flexible we can try to print it. Not on every substance that our material will connect it well. I will explain it on my next slides. But everything that actually flat, we can try to print on. This is another example to printing on leather. Next, please. So those few slides, it's actually small videos. You can try to activate them all, one after another. Special capabilities of what actually means the freedom of design, that every designer take it to the next level, to the additional patterns and graphics that we every time amazing what actually our machine can do. Next slides as well. Next, please. Okay. Now this is a part of the Ganit Goldstein jacket as you saw it before. Next, please. This is an example of a small accessory that obviously it's a Tesla logo that we're trying to make different graphics to make the same thing and put it on a fabric. So you will see how different geometries, behavior, and how its movement actually Yep. Next, please. Next. Those few designs also shows the capabilities to print not only the small objects and also something that much bigger, and you see it how it's actually behavioral. So the freedom of design to design objects, special objects that cannot be produced with any other technology except of 3D printing, and freedom of composition, as I explained it before, when you're taking it to and combining different kinds of materials with different properties like rigid and flexible, and combining it also with transparent material, encapsulating kind of graphics into the clear volume, also on. So everything capable to print on fabric. Next, please. So in terms of application and what we actually targeting, you can click 3 times for the whole slide. So we're targeting actually luxury, no price. I would not say to no price sensitive. Everything is price sensitive, but it's a luxury because this a new technology. This is why. This is how actually the things are works when they start and the high level, and after a few years, and the prices and the volumes are start to be bigger, and it's actually change economics of the things. Low volume production, so it's a kind of transition from prototyping to the low volume production thing. And one of the capabilities and special capabilities of the 3D printing that we work with digital, completely digital workflow. So it makes another value for the end customer to make one each of the designs to be one of a kind. Next, please. This is just an explanation about what kind of graphic technologies exist in a. You can click until the end of the. Yes, another. Yes, this is another one. So we're aiming that the 3D printing will just serve in another tool in a toolbox of the company like Dyloan for making a 3D graphics on textiles on fabric. Next, please. As I said it before, this is how actually economics starts and where the innovation technology starts. We aiming the haute couture and luxury brands up to 10,000 pieces of production volume as well. Next. This is how it works. I hope you will have the opportunity to see actual printing and actual printing in the house. It's a special place, very beautiful. And this is a short video. It's actually explaining what we do to make to print on fabric. So you can click on a video and left. This is very short where of the printing machine to be able to printing on fabric. So basically, we just mounting the fabric that we want to print on a mounting tray which is limited in size and printing directly on. Next, please. Obviously, when we aiming high-end and fashion industry, we have to test that everything it works. You can click on until, yep. We should test everything that works as is expected, and this kind of industry. So. We tested once together with Bond Factory Dyloan, and we currently tested it with few standards in the fashion industry, and we continue to invest of testing of our designs and our materials and combinations to be reach the highest level of certification in fashion industry. Next, please. So you should ask. Actually, it's the main question when I starting to talk about the 3D printing on fabrics. The first question that I get, okay, how it's connected to the textile. It's well connected. It can disconnect easily or not. So you have millions of different types of textile fabrics in the world. Some of them dense, some of them thick and unwoven, woven, different kind of material combinations. Some of them nets. Some of them has different density and different texture. Some of them treated in a certain way to be hydrophobic or so on. So well, we developed a process that actually should be able to print on every kind of textile in a certain way. And lucky we, differently from the 2D technology that actually, you know that we're not developing printing on fabrics. It's a common digital printing technology that can print on the many different kinds of fabrics, but they're using only few layers to color layers to be printed on. And we using a 3D objects. We need much more layers to print the 3D objects on fabric. So it's, as I said, lucky we, because it gives us a much level, highest level of control how actually our material is connected to the fabric well or not. So next, please. So we develop a processes that actually can be applied on a different kind of fabrics and connect the designs to be well attached to the fabrics. Everything actually about the absorption. You can play the videos both together. Those short videos shows you that almost same fabrics. You can see it's almost all of them are black. And if you see it with not armed eye, you will not see any difference. But they perform completely different in terms of absorption of our materials on it. So we develop a process in our machines how to deal with that, to deal with fabrics that absorb too much, and how to deal with the fabrics that absorb not absorb at all. And as I said, lucky we, because we have a lot of slices, a lot of layers to control this process. Next, please. This is just a snapshot how we actually connecting to the fabrics. I will not deep dive to all the technologies here. You just can see that we have developed a few different methods to control it well. And the next slide, I think it's the last one, just show a bit how the small dots of print actually connected to the yarns of the fabrics with mechanical adhesion. Next. Yes. So hopefully you understand what we able to do with 3D printing and how to use it. And as I mentioned it before, we're targeting a large spectrum of applications, like different kinds, and maybe you seeing that will think about something different, something new that we will discover it together. Thank you.
Boris, this is what really, we are really in the limits of a new frontier. And I am sure our guest open one world unite. We are ready for interpret every project in the sample, in the prototyping side or in the production side. In progress, the house give more know-how and suggestion about the 3D print technology and other technology, because Boris a little bit introduced one more question, one more theme, connection with technology. Somebody or many people what collaborate with us know the expertise of the Bomb Factory is just combine the technology in the decorative way or in the functional way. So we are ready. I think have something question or the public or the guest in the presence is, in case I have a question is possible. Okay. The printing surface fabric is limited. Yes, Boris, you want to answer to this question?
Yes, it's actually the printing, the size of the printing fabric is 560 on 460, but the printing area itself limited for 460 for 360. So the fabric should be 560 for 460, and the printing itself it's limited for 460 for 360. Is it clear? No, sometimes it's confusing those numbers, but is it clear?
And sure, for example, it's possible make one pattern and replicate the pattern. We are in progress the application when pattern is add one up another. Allora, in this case, the area is more bigger, really. But the print, sure, is this what Boris explained. Ci sono altre domande? Have more question? No? Okay. Yes?
Yes. I have a question for Gustavo.
Yes.
When you talk about prototyping in the context of industrial design,
yes,
especially prototyping fast and making iterations,
yes,
how do you then recycle those bits of plastic that you have? So what is the end? What is the polyjet? What is the plastic, and how do you recycle that in the end? Or are you just left with a lot of prototypes which cannot be recycled?
I mean, basically, we are talking about, I will repeat the question, right? What do you do with all the words that you print, okay? And all the things that you do, what you do after. And it's acrylic resins. So with special process, they can be recycled, okay? Maybe need some additional, but it can be recycled. But what do you use? I mean, in the industrial case, what you use them for is to explain how you arrive there. So I don't know many companies that get rid of what they did at some point. They use it to tell a story. Of course, if you are looking into the recycle area, you have to elaborate a bit, okay? As any plastic you find in the market, you will find the correct solution to recycle and to reuse it and to, you know, to put it away in the proper way in order not to contaminate the surround of your company, okay? So it's plastic that can be handled in the proper way. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question. Maybe I will join as well to the conversation, because I didn't mention it in my presentation, but one of the aimings, and when we started to think in the 3D printing on fabric for the fashion, it was the sustainability. How we can make the whole fashion process, which very contaminating, as you know, if you're involved in, to be much more clear and much more sustainable using 3D printing. So 3D printing, we made it on demand. We made it customized. We made it, we printed and using those materials, plastic materials, only when we need it, or only when we already design our parts. So all the process of 3D printing, and we just starting and developing to improve it as well. It's much more clear than the others. So we're proud to be there.
I mean, what is important is the whole process is much more greener, let's call it like that, than the usual process. Of course, then it's plastic, and this plastic you have to understand how to handle it, and therefore you have to find a way to handle it, right? But the whole process in which you use the 3D printer to create the models that you need, it's much more green because you only use the plastic that you need to produce it. You don't have to get rid of the additional plastic that you need to create. I don't know if you're created through CNC or something like that, you have to get rid of the other plastic, and it's economically and ambientally different aspect and different process that will contaminate or will use more plastic than is needed. So the whole concept of the 3D printing, it's already green. Of course, when you talk about plastic, you have to find the solution, and for sure you have the solution. We have the solution to do it, right?
That, you know, Stratasys is a founding member, or let me say, I didn't remember the name by heart, of the Additive Manufacturing Green Trade Association, because we feel that, you know, as an industry, we need to advance the sustainability issue and really, you know, address it. As Gustavo was mentioning, you know, in itself, you know, additive is just, you say, parse, you know, because it just uses the material you need. But overall, we need to lower our footprint in an industry because of plastic, understanding better chemicals and how to deal better, with this sustainability. And we want to drive this, topic forward, as an industry, and as a founding member of this association who has the task and the objective, to improve, as an industry, our footprint, from a sustainability standpoint.
One more question. Are they safe for the skin?
Yeah, actually, you can touch it with the skin, okay? Of course, we have some resins that can be used in the medical area, okay? I just don't put it in the slides because I thought it was not really pertinent to this presentation, okay, right? But there are some resins that you can use actually in contact with the skin. Of course, like really long contact, maybe not, but of course they're safe. If you contact it, it's with it. Just take an account with that you're talking with fabrics. You're not in contact directly with the thing, right? You're in contact with the fabric. Nothing will happen. I mean, assevering that it's safe for skin, yes, it's safe because I touch it daily without any problems, right?
It's completely safe, and just to be sure of that we are in the middle of the process to fill up the highest level of certifications that used actually in a fashion industry. I cannot mention the name currently because we didn't still complete it, but it's a one of famous one. And as Gustavo mentioned, we have the all certification for the other application that actually Stratasys focused it on it before, include medical, surgery, or different kind of application and certification that we focused on before we get in the fashion world.
Do you provide material that is recycled or more sustainable?
I mean, we produce the material. No, the straight answer is no. We create the material from zero, right? And then this is, of course, what we are working in, as Enrico mentioned. Okay, we are trying to make it, to understand how to reduce the footprints in what we do, and of course, it's just one part of what we need to do, and what we for sure look at the future on how to do it.
You want to? No, okay. Okay. Okay, last question, please. Okay, thank you.
I mean, the figure is pretty amazing, but regarding mechanical properties of the printing, is it comparable like to SLS, fluency, brittle, or?
Okay, I understand the question. I mean, the material itself was not created to hold very high mechanical loads. Okay, you cannot compare it right away with SLA. SLA tend to be a little bit more brittle, but of course it's not something that you will use to hold in the mechanical something. You have to think about maybe mixing it with some flexible in order to hold impacts or something like that. It tends to be a bit brittle. Of course, brittle means everything and anything, like brittle depending on the geometry, brittle depending on what you need to do. The material itself is resistant enough to the applications that we are doing, and for sure resistant enough to application in the fashion industry, right, Boris? So, yeah, I mean, I would say it's not the most resistant material in the world, but it's acrylic. So it's a plastic, it's acrylic, and then the acrylic has a property that it's a bit brittle, okay?
Thank you. No, sorry, it's too late. It's too late. In case we answer directly back to the person, yes, for more question too, because we are just in time. I want to remember all these, many of all these examples is exhibited in the D House. Not only for the Fashion Week times, just in the end of October. The house is in Milano, in Via Ferraris number 1. and we are happy to receive all guests. Stay connected for more focused in the technology. Thank you very much at all, and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.